Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you with STS Radio, one of my favorite things to do. I apologize. I had to take last week off due to some situations around the household where basically Stevie Breach had to come to a real-life situation. On my day off last week, that's right, I only had one day off last week. I went out to buy my wife a new car. It was a used car, but still, that took up most of my day that day, and plus the rest of the day I spent with my kids, and I think I passed out pretty early. Much apologies to DJ out there for setting this up. I didn't really send him a reason why we didn't have a show last week, but he didn't get down on me hard, so I thought made sure I'd hit the books this week, and we'd turn out a damn good show. So that's what we're going to do to you. We're going to come to you hopefully for the next hour with some good wrestle talk. We're just basically going to be sitting back, kicking back with some little STS. I got some things planned out for the future. I'm hoping to bring on a few of my friends as guests in the upcoming weeks so we can sort of banter on back and forth. Right now, you know, the status of the WWE, I can honestly say that right now, they've given us a lot of great stuff on the WWE Network. I've honestly been really happy with everything on there. Just basically, I pay $9.99 a month, and I get full service of all of the past WWE library. Maybe you can pick and choose that there's a few things out there that you would like to be seeing. Honestly, when it comes down to it, right now, I think if you were to ask me the one thing that I would really want to see on the WWE Network, and that would be NXT Season 1. You get to see, the rookies coming in: Daniel Bryan, Wade Barrett, Darren Young, Heath Slater, Justin Gabriel. That was a real fun time in wrestling for me. I'm not sure if that was 2009, maybe it was 2010, somewhere in there when that was going down. But honestly, I really like that show, and that's something that I think would be really easy to upload. It was only 12, maybe 13 episodes. I think the only thing is about that is, like, when do you cut off what you're going to upload? Season 1, Season 2, and Season 3, 2 were guys, and the third one was the girls. They were, 12 episode run, or 24, however many it was. And then after that, it started that never-ending season. I can understand we don't need to see Season 4. You had a lot of good fun stuff on there, basically where you just said, oh, fuck it, you guys do whatever you guys want to do, and we'll do it. But the first 3 seasons of NXT aren't a real big deal, but honestly, it's something that I would like to rewatch on the WWE Network. Primetime wrestling is something that I think would be really needed as well. But I can understand it not being a priority, but I just need more Jesse and Vince. I need more Gorilla and Bobby the Brain Heenan. A lot more stuff from when I was a kid. That's the stuff that I would love to watch. But as of right now, WWE Hell in a Cell honestly isn't stacking up to be what I thought it was going to be. I've really loved all of the pay-per-views that have been on there. I thought they've been a real deal of a steal to check out. Basically SummerSlam was stacked to the gills. Payback was awesome. Battleground was good this year. Night of Champions was a real fun show to watch. Even though there wasn't a finish at the end of the show, with Dean Ambrose coming in and getting John Cena disqualified, I thought it was very, very fun. Going into Hell in the Cell, you would think that we're going to get a payoff for these last 2 matches with John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. When you go to, SummerSlam, John Cena, maybe you can say he wasn't ready to have a match with Brock Lesnar, but he came back. He didn't really change his persona, but you can say maybe he trained hard. He went out there, he lifted some weights, he got stronger, he got bigger. He was able to go out there and he was able to actually stand up and have a fight with Brock Lesnar. It wasn't just trying to survive. Cena got loads of offense in on this match. He looked real strong, but just he got screwed by Seth Rollins coming and running in with the Money in the Bank, making sure that Cena didn't win and then cashing in almost and taking the opportunity to become champion. You would think Hell in the Cell is an easy thing. You have 2 different feuds. You've got Ambrose versus Rollins. You've got Cena versus Brock. Basically every time Ambrose wants to fight Rollins, Rollins runs away and he doesn't stand up and fight the fight like a man would. And then Cena versus Brock, it came down to somebody running in and making that match not happen was the only reason why we didn't have a finish. That's the only reason why Cena didn't beat Brock. I honestly do believe in my heart that Cena was going to get the 3 count at that point. And if you don't think that was going to happen, I don't think you understand what 4FUs are. And just throw them up on the shoulders and bam, right down there on the center of the ring. You're going to get the 1, 2, 3. Most of the time, Cena only needs to hit one of them in order to get it. Brock is a big bad man, and I understand if he kicks up on 3 of them, but 4. No way in the world is that going to happen. I mean, you think of WrestleMania this year, even Undertaker wasn't able to survive 4 finishers from Brock Lesnar. So no doubt in my mind that was going to happen. But I mean, you put the cell around that. I know that if you go back in time and you watch all the Hell in a Cell matches, there's ways in them, there's ways out of them. But you know, it just fits what Hell in a Cell was made out to be, was to keep the fight inside the ring area. Nobody coming in, nobody going out. You know, it just easy. Brock versus Cena, Hell in a Cell. Who does not buy the WWE Network? Who does not buy the pay-per-view from their local cable subscriber? Who isn't going over to their friend's house to make sure they're going to watch this? That's easy buys right there. I know from reading a lot of stories out there on the internet that when Brock Lesnar became champion, he went to WWE and he told them, hey, I'm your champion now. I want you guys to be able to use me. Let's rework my contract so that way, you know, you guys can use me as much as you need me. You can call me up, send me to house shows if you want to. You can send me to Monday Night Raw. You can send me to SmackDown. You can send me to the pay-per-view. I'll work whatever you want me to work. I think everybody knows that when Brock Lesnar came back from the UFC to go back to WWE, a place that he never really wanted to be, a place that he never really liked in the first place. That's the reason why he split on us for 2 years back in the early 2000s, was he didn't like the travel, he didn't like being around everywhere. Brock didn't even really like UFC that much because he didn't like having to go to shows and be away from his family. He likes shacking up in his shack out in the middle of nowhere and just basically being with Sable, being with I can't remember if he has a son or a daughter. That's what he does. He likes being with his family. He likes trucking out there and killing deers, killing mooses, killing, you know, bears, whatever lives in the wildlife around him, and then basically sacking it up on his back and bringing it all the way back to that cabin and just living his life that way. That's what Brock likes to do. But Brock knows that UFC money and that early WWE money, that's not going to last forever. So he needed to, you know, go back to work, and Vince was the place that brought him in. I mean, when Brock came to WWE in 2012, after WrestleMania 28 and had that awesome match with John Cena, I think that at that moment, I thought WWE had a steal. There was no way in the world you can screw up Brock Lesnar. But then you go and you see the match at WrestleMania 29, where Triple H gets to beat Brock. You go to, what other match did Brock lose? Oh, the Cena match at Extreme Rules. I don't think that was horrible to lose the Cena match, but to lose a Triple H match, you gotta be kidding me. That honestly did derail him. I think everybody who's poked fingers in what they're doing, honestly stepping up to the plate at WrestleMania 30, with Brock Lesnar beating The Undertaker and ending the streak, definitely put a whole bunch of credibility on him. But most wrestling fans, even the ones that are fringe wrestling fans that, you know, only get the big shows, I'm talking about Royal Rumble, I'm talking about WrestleMania, maybe they get SummerSlam, and that's really it. Maybe they don't watch Monday Night Raw, maybe they just go to websites and check out the spoilers about what's going down to sort of keep up to date, but they don't have a whole lot of time in their lives in order to do this. Even they can remember, you know, Brock has lost before. You know, if you want to make somebody look real strong, even if you go back to the old days, you know, Hogan only worked the big shows. I mean, you had to pay to see him. You'd have to go to your house show, you'd have to go to a Madison Square Garden show, or you'd have to sit at home and you have to watch the Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, WrestleMania, Survivor Series. That was it. You had to pay to see those 4 matches, or you had to go see WWE when they came to your area. That was it. That's what they could have done with Brock Lesnar. He could have beat Cena, that was non-title. He could have beat Punk like he did. He could have beat Triple H in all those matches, and then beat Undertaker. And then you're like, well, what's left for him to do? Oh yeah, the WWE title, the grandest, prize of them all in wrestling. That's what they could have done to push Brock Lesnar to the moon. And now that they got him there, I think everybody thinks that Brock is a credible guy. Everybody thinks when Brock is on television, that's a must-see guy. But honestly, everybody thinks of those 2 losses that came along the way. I wish we could see Brock in the Hell in a Cell, but honestly, if I had to lay my money on the table right now, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to try and go with a more, scaled back card. They don't think that if they put Brock on the card, they're going to be able to get their money back off the show, and they're not looking to lose a ton of money. But I don't understand how you don't take that gamble. This is a must-see match. Cena versus Brock in a Hell in a Cell. What are you going to do? If you don't do it here, you have to do it at Survivor Series. And what's the point of having another match? That's the reason why you have these stipulation pay-per-views, is to have damn good stipulation matches that mean something. I think everybody thought they were crazy in 2010 when they went to this new stage, when they added Money in the Bank as a pay-per-view, when they added, Hell in the Cell as a pay-per-view, TLC as a pay-per-view. These were special matches that were set out for special times and special feuds. If we would have known that Edge and John Cena would have came down to a TLC match, and I believe it was Unforgiven. There's no way in the world we would have paid attention to that whole feud when they kept trading wins back and forth in pay-per-views, trying to find out who the better man was. And that was an awesome feud. But I think if we would have known that once we got to Unforgiven, they were going to have that TLC match in Toronto, in Edge's hometown, I don't think anybody would have cared about the ride to get us there. But I think, definitely, when you look back at 2010, the first year they had Hell in the Cell, and you saw Undertaker versus Kane, and, you saw they had one match, they had another match, and then all of a sudden you see this Hell in the Cell, you're like, well, they're going to be in the Hell in the Cell match, so there's no way of paying attention to the second match along the way. If they do, go with no Brock, they do have a real cutback. You've got Dean Ambrose coming along really strong as a real almost star. He's almost really there. You got Seth Rollins, Mr. Money in the Bank, has good matches with just about everybody. He's really going to miss Rob Van Dam and Chris Jericho not being around, because those are 2 guys that really delivered with him, whether if it was a match on Raw or a match on SmackDown. They didn't care. They went out there. I wish I would have saw some matches of those guys on house shows, because I think those would definitely would have been, classic matches that you would remember for the rest of your life. And if you did get to see Jericho versus Rollins, or you did get to see RVD versus Rollins on a house show, you guys are very lucky. Let me know what you guys thought about that match, because there's no way in the world I don't think that could have delivered. You've got John Cena, your power horse, and you've got, Mr. Boring Randy Orton. And they're going to have to figure out where they're going to go from here. There's some people thinking they're going to go with some sort of a triple threat match, where they're going to put all 3 guys together to sort of separate their issues. I didn't like the fact that Cena and Ambrose teamed up on Monday Night Raw. I think you definitely should have kept something sort of like CM Punk and John Cena, where they don't like each other. Cena doesn't like Punk, Punk doesn't like John Cena, and there's nothing they can do to really straighten out, their ways. They shouldn't be teaming up. Dean Ambrose, going back to the days of the Shield, doesn't like John Cena. He wants to become bigger than John Cena. He wants to be the flagship of the company. He doesn't want to be, rubbing shoulders with John Cena. If it was up to me, I would have had Ambrose attack Cena in the tag match, just to show that he is really a wild card, that you can't trust Ambrose with anything. He'll turn on his partner, anything to make himself look better. I think that, they didn't take that gamble because they didn't want to turn Ambrose into this sort of, heelish character. They want to keep running with him as this babyface. They want to see how far this, this wild card of a character can go. But you put Ambrose, you put Cena, you put Rollins in the Hell in the Cell, it's going to be a match. It's not going to be a good match. It's not going to be a great match. It's just going to be a match. I don't even really know how you use Hell in the Cell as a 3-way. They've done this before. I just watched this match from Hell in the Cell 2011. You had Alberto Del Rio, John Cena, and CM Punk all in there at one time, and it just didn't have the same feel. It just felt like a long, drawn-out match. It had a really cool ending with R-Truth and The Miz running in, and of course, the Triple H and the whole roster trying to break down the Hell in the Cell to get in there, and the cops from New Orleans finally getting inside a Hell in the Cell and arresting Miz and R-Truth, and which led to, Triple H being thrown out of power, which was a dumb, stupid angle on Monday Night Raw. One of the 2 worst that they did that year. That really sort of derailed everything that was really going on with what they were doing. But Some people think that they're gonna have singles matches because if you have the three-way, what do you have Randy Orton for? Do you really just give him a pay-per-view off? The roster is so limited right now. Nobody should be getting time off. But you got what some people think they'll do is they'll make a number one contenders match, or maybe not a number one contenders match because they're not going after a champion, but basically where the winner of the match gets to pick their fortune. He gets to pick what's going on in the future. Some people think we're going to get Ambrose versus John Cena one-on-one. The winner of that gets to go on and face Seth Rollins. Both of them have the problem with them, of course. Ambrose is still pissed at Rollins for breaking up the Shield. Cena is pissed because he blew his shot at the championship. Cena versus Rollins is a match, where he's going to get some revenge. But Ambrose's Rollins is the bigger draw. Ambrose and Rollins, if this is what they're going to do, honestly, should be the main event. And if it's not a main event, both of those guys are going to come together and say, you know what? They're screwing us over. They're putting us in the middle of the card. We're going to go out and show them that our feud is bigger than anything on the roster. Because if you fall back on what they're doing here, you're going to end up with John Cena against Randy Orton for the millionth time. And I just defended this match not that long ago, talking about their TLC from 2013 at the very end, where they were, unifying the championship in that ladder match. And I thought that was an awesome match. And people went ballistic over this match. Like, they promised us in 2009 this would never be a match again. And, here they are again. But they're two of the best guys in the company. But right now, in 2014, with this roster, I don't know what you do. I mean, you're just screwing yourself over by not having Brock Lesnar on here, because I can't stand up and I can't defend Cena versus Orton in 2014 on a Hell in a Cell show in a match that doesn't matter for anything other than we're just trying and fill up this card and get it over with so we can get the Survivor Series, and that's where we're going to have a damn good show. I don't know where Survivor Series is going to be, but I apologize to the people of Dallas, because I think Dallas is a city that's getting Hell in a Cell, and it just doesn't seem like this is going to be a great of a card. And I love WWE. I talk highly of almost everything those guys do, but I can't defend it. I mean, you got AJ and Paige wrestling for the Divas Championship for about the 100th time now, it seems like. You got the Bellas going at it. And that's basically a feud that nobody really wants to see, other than the producers of Total Divas. From there, I guess they're doing a three-way, which is going to be you got Dolph Ziggler, you got The Miz, and then you got Cesaro. That's going to be in there. Besides for that, I can't really picture anything else that's going on this pay-per-view right now, and it just doesn't seem great to me. I can tell you that the one thing that I really love out of everything that's going on in WWE right now is so minor league. It's so, first match, maybe second match of the card to sort of protect it and not have people go ballistic crazy over this, is the upcoming Mark Henry versus Big Show feud. If I go back to 2011, the Money in the Bank, I bet you if you go back and watch my prediction video on that, I bet you it was like, this match is going to be dumb. Nobody cares about this match. We've seen these guys wrestle 1,000 times on Monday Night Raw matches that didn't mean anything. And, here they are. They go out there and they have an awesome match. That helps that pay-per-view become one of my favorite pay-per-views of all time. Everybody always talks about, CM Punk beating John Cena in a real good match at the end, and then running out of the arena with the championship, jumping in a cab, and then heading home and putting the title in his fridge. And that's something that people remember for a long time. But basically, when Mark Henry beat the Big Show, and then basically put his, his leg or his ankle, his foot, his boot, whatever you want to say, when he put it in that chair and smashed it down, he became the number one contender in my mind. That's when I said they're going to make Mark Henry World Heavyweight Champ. I didn't know how they were going to have him beat Randy Orton, if it was going to be some sort of a, some sort of squirmish finish, some sort of a run-in with somebody helping, Mark Henry, and him having some sort of a stable. No way in my world did I think they were going to have him beat him clean at Night of Champions. But I knew that match was so good. I love that whole pay-per-view, but Mark Henry versus Big Show might be my favorite match that's on that card, and that's crazy. That's crazy talk. But of course, you go back, we saw with Rusev He's getting the big NXT push. He seems to be, Triple H's favorite guy right now, and he's making sure that he's going through strong guys. We saw him beat former Intercontinental Champion Biggie Langston. We saw him beat World Heavyweight Champion, or former World Heavyweight Champion, Jack Swagger. And then he goes on and faces former World Heavyweight Champion and Olympic hero Mark Henry. And the match at the pay-per-view wasn't great. It was awesome to see Mark Henry care so much about his country, as when Lillian Garcia was singing the national anthem. We had the tears running down his face. He was crying before the match even started. And then you got to see Mark Henry be the best seller in professional wrestling history. Basically, as Alexander Rusev strapped on, what's the name of that finisher? I guess it has something to do with like medals or medallion. It's something like that. When he got him locked in that sort of camel clutch, I guess you can say, and Mark Henry was basically about to tap out. Basically, you saw the tears running down his eyes again. He was crying that he let down the fans, he let down his country, he let down basically everyone that was behind him. Everybody wanted to see Rusev lose. Nobody wanted to see the Russian win. Nobody wanted to hear the Russian national anthem. Nobody wanted to see the flag drop. And maybe people wanted to see Lana get in the ring. I understand that. But basically, he let everybody down. Then he comes out on Monday Night Raw again, trying to make up for the pay-per-view, challenges him one more time, and loses again. From there, we go to Big Show coming out there, and Big Show started giving him the pep talk, saying, "Don't worry about it, man. It's not you that lost. It's partly my fault. I'm the one that backed you up into this, and I'll take sort of the blame." And now, from there, Mark Henry had a match on Main Event tonight where he wrestled against Bo Dallas. He lost the match again, so he's 3 down. He lost 2 to Rusev. He lost once to Bo Dallas. He lost this one by count out. Then after this, he hit 2 World's Strongest Slams on Bo Dallas, just to rub it in his face that he's still bigger and better than him. Sort of, to add that sort of, Mark Henry's turning. But then, I get on Monday Night Raw, we've got former World Heavyweight Champion, former WWE Champion, former ECW Champion, Big Show going in there, and Big Show's going to try and take one for the team, and he's going to try and take out Rusev. Honestly, this could be what sets up the pay-per-view. I can see Big Show controlling this match at Rusev and really looking like he's going to get the win. Maybe he's about to hit one of them big, boom, those big blows, knock out Rusev, and maybe he'll get the win that way. But at the last minute, Mark Henry's not going to let his friend Big Show get the win. Maybe this is what they were doing. I thought last month they were crazy when they were building up the Night of Champions. They were pushing Big Show and Mark Henry as a tag team. It looked like they were going after the tag team championship. Every time they were in a tag team match, they kept pushing how these guys were shooting up the ranks, and all of a sudden they stopped that feud to put Mark Henry into this Rusev feud that was sort of running at the same time. It was almost like the writers, were sort of told to do 2 separate things. Maybe one writer was in charge of tag team division. Maybe one writer was in charge of the singles mid-card. And both of them were writing for Mark Henry. And maybe Mark Henry was like, hey, if I wrestle twice in one night, maybe I get paid twice. So I'm not going to say nothing. I'm just going to go out there and do what I do. I'm going to do what I do. That's Mark Henry right there. And respect my privacy. That's the inside joke right there. But basically, I could see Mark Henry maybe making the heel turn on Raw this week when he takes on Rusev. It's going to be a good match. It's going to be a good time. But maybe that on the not Night of Champions. I apologize. That was last month. Maybe that on the Hell in the Cell card. Maybe that's really going to get me pumped up as something to see there. WrestleMania is right up around the corner. I guess this Monday, which was yesterday today, or this is going to be taped to air. I think these air over the weekend. So earlier this week, the WrestleMania packages went on sale. One of my good buddies from the Bay Area, Mr. Paul JB44 on YouTube, or just my good friend Paul. He's been in a few of my videos. We went to TNA Bound for Glory. Basically, we went together, and then we went to WrestleFest. I believe the last 2 years we went. I think he's been to both of those shows, and just today I pulled the trigger to go to a BTW show again. It's not WrestleFest; they only do those once a year. But basically, it's gonna be a stacked show with Lita, who's the VIP guest of honor, and of course Drew McIntyre is gonna be there, and Ricardo Rodriguez is working the indie circuit right now. He'll be there, so. I'll be able to meet those three awesome wrestlers and see a good night of wrestling with Paul. But he bought the California Dreamin' VIP package. He's gonna be VIP front row WrestleMania, and this year for WrestleMania 31, it's going to be in Santa Clara. Honestly, I've been pushing for a California WrestleMania, I think since WrestleMania 28. I think it was when it was rumored to come to the Candlestick for the first time. San Francisco, maybe it was, I don't think it would have been Santa Clara yet because Levi Stadium wouldn't have been built. But I remember reading in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that San Francisco was making a push to get WrestleMania. They weren't able to pull the trigger, but I guess they were able to, come back and lock up WrestleMania 31. It's going to be an awesome way to kick off the new Levi Stadium, home of the San Francisco 49ers, my favorite football team. Honestly, I'm not going to be able to make it out for a football game at Levi Stadium for my own home team, but I'll be there at WrestleMania 31. Football to me is so much of a TV sport. I like it more that way. I've been to a few football games in my lifetime. I went to more when the Niners would come to Atlanta at the Georgia Dome during the bad Atlanta years. Atlanta's not a very good sports town. It was very easy to get tickets that way. Right now, with the new stadium opening, the 49ers tickets are really hard to get. Honestly, when it comes down to it, I haven't been hearing very good things about Levi Stadium. People are complaining about it being hot. There's a lot of sun there in Santa Clara right now. It's still the summer months there. They didn't build the stadium with a lot of shade, but then again, these are a lot of Niner fans that are coming over from Candlestick, which, you get the breeze coming right off of the bay and the ocean, so you always had that sort of gloomy, coldish feel. There was hot days there, but they were few and far in between. I remember WrestleMania 29 weekend. I didn't go to WrestleMania. Me and my friend, Freaking A88, at It's Miguelio on Twitter, otherwise known as just Miguel, probably my best friend. We went to a San Francisco Giants game. It was the day before WrestleMania, I believe. We drove out there. We got a little sprinkle on us. So WrestleMania weekend, who knows what it's going to be. But I love these WrestleMania trips, and I'm hoping that you guys out there are thinking about going to WrestleMania. Some of you guys have already, put together your groups or already pulled the trigger. Maybe some of you guys bought the packages like Paul did. Me and my friends, we tend to go solo. It's not too late to plan a WrestleMania trip. It's almost too late. I mean, tickets haven't gone on sale. When you buy the WrestleMania ticket, when you buy the plane ticket, that's when you really know what's going down. I'm very lucky this year being located in Sacramento, California. It's only a 2-hour drive in order to get to Santa Clara, so there's no plane ticket this year, which is going to help me out a ton. Also, with SummerSlam moving to New Jersey, the month of WrestleMania, there's no longer me buying a SummerSlam ticket, so that's another thing that's going to really help out my pocketbook that week. But when I look at this trip, I don't want to be Debbie Downer. I don't want to be that guy who upsets his friends thinking he doesn't want to be there, or I'm not trying to talk you guys into not being there. A video that I want to plan out for this week, and I haven't asked him, but I'm sure he'll do it, and I haven't really. It won't be that hard to set up, and I think it's going to be a fun one. Hopefully I can include it on the STS radio. If not, it'll be on my Stevie Breach YouTube channel. I want to get my friend Mike on the horn. He's a senior in high school. He lives in Illinois. He lives outside of Chicago. Somehow he's a Green Bay Packers fan. But even though he's a little bit younger, well, he's a lot younger than me. I don't know how. Maybe we'll figure that out. He came into being, part of my friends. But he's one of my best friends. Whenever I need help with my computer, whenever I need help with tech stuff, he's always the guy that I go to, and he's one of the smartest guys that I go to. He's already been accepted to go to Kansas University next year, so this guy's gonna be a genius. Become his friend now, so you can borrow money from him later. That's what I'm planning on doing. But he's going to be coming to WrestleMania. He just got his first job. He's helping out Mr. Fuji with the movie theater right now, and he's planning on coming. That's awesome. I didn't make my first WrestleMania trip until I don't know how old I was, however old I was in 2010. when I went to WrestleMania 26. The first time I ever thought about going to WrestleMania was WrestleMania 17. I saw, ads for The Rock versus Austin. He was going to be in the Astrodome. I think they had like 70,000 people there. That was the first time that WrestleMania became a destination trip for me, that I was like, I really want to go to that. But I think at that time, off the top of my head, I think I was maybe 19, maybe 20. I know I was out of high school. I know I was working at the Pizza Hut. I know I wasn't paying rent, so I was always, you know how you live when you don't have rent. I tell my friends that live at home, they are the luckiest people on the earth, and rock that until they die. Basically, don't move out until you have a very serious girlfriend who says, it's now or never, buddy. We need to move out. We need to live together, or it's over, or basically just wait until your wedding. Like, live at home forever, because you can live your life. I mean, at the drop of a hat, you can go anywhere in the world. You can do anything you want. Basically, maybe you throw a few bucks to mom and dad. You've got your cell phone bill. Maybe you've got a car payment if you've got a nicer, newer car that you're paying for. Maybe you pay for your insurance still. But I mean, you're not having to pay rent. You're not having to pay, utilities, power, this, that, or the other. That is the time of your life right there. Rock that until the day you die. But basically, getting back to my buddy Mike, I want to have him on, and I basically want to talk him through his questions, because I think that a lot of people, when they plan the WrestleMania trip, they don't know what to plan, and they get overwhelmed. Maybe they show up and they just flat out run out of money because they didn't save up enough. I don't want to scare you, but WrestleMania is a money trap. I know that you pay for a lot of stuff before you get there. There's your WrestleMania ticket. You probably want to go to the Hall of Fame, Ring of Honor. There's WrestleCon, which takes you for a lot more than you're worth. Your first time you go in there, you really have to plan out what you want to do, because if you just walk in there, you'll be broke by the first hour, and you've only met a few guys. But you probably want to go to the Monday Night Raw after. You got to buy your plane ticket to get there. So it's a lot. It's a lot, but if you plan it out right, you can do it. And if you're not living, the married life like me, it's an easy trip to plan. And I love these trips. I'm not trying to scare off my friends to tell them that I don't want to go, but honestly, we had so much fun last year. WrestleMania 30 was probably one of the best trips ever. New Orleans was very kind to us. We stayed at a very nice hotel, the Drury Inn. We've picked a nice hotel in I believe San Jose is where we're going to be staying. All I know is it's close to the airport. We got a suite that's going to fit 6 of us, and we're all going to be in one place at one time. Basically, we had 3 rooms on the same floor at the Drury Inn at New Orleans, and all of us became really, really close. I think that's what we're trying to recreate this year by all of us being together. But it's just, I'm not trying to knock Santa Clara. I'm not trying to talk what's going down. But when I look at WrestleMania, I mean, WrestleMania 30 was stacked from beginning to end. And you open up with Hogan, Rock, and Cena. From there, you go to Daniel Bryan versus Triple H, one of my favorite matches that I've ever seen live of my whole life. I knew that Daniel Bryan was going to win. You'd have to be an idiot to think that Triple H was going to win. But there was a little part of me that thought maybe they might do it, just so they can pull something off at the end of the show with Bryan coming back out again. I really felt for that match, and I was really into it. It's one of my favorite matches that I've ever seen live, and it's a real fun one to watch back again. And of course, from there, you had things throughout the whole weekend. Ultimate Warrior getting put in the Hall of Fame. Jake the Snake Roberts and Scott Hall both having very emotional speeches to get put in the Hall of Fame. You saw Daniel Bryan win the championship. Undertaker's streak ended as a very historic moment. As a personal moment, I got to meet Hulk Hogan for the first time, one of my childhood heroes. So a lot of things happened. We got to hit Bourbon Street, which was really, really cool. That was something that I honestly was very scared to do. I'm saving a lot of things from this trip. As soon as my buddy Freaking 88 completes putting up his WrestleMania 30 videos, I'm going to make my WrestleMania 30 video, and I tell all the stories about everything that went down that whole week. I've been putting it off. I promise you, if you listen to it, it's gonna be a good listen. You'll be able to, see how, somebody planned the whole week out and we did everything. And if it wasn't for my buddy Miguel making the WrestleMania 30 schedule, which basically we lived by, and you just sort of recognize where you were supposed to be, we would have been lost. And that's why I want to talk to Mike and basically, sort of make a show based off of that, and hopefully you guys will like it, because I think there's a lot of people out there who want to go to WrestleMania but don't know how to do it. And every year I try and help you with videos, but I think it's so easy because I've gone to this will be my fifth, that you just knock it out. But then again, I was so lost when I went to WrestleMania 26. When I headed down there, I had won a contest, and I didn't have a whole bunch of time to plan. They told me on Monday, "Can you be there on Sunday?" And I found a way to do it. Some guy covered my shifts that I had never met, and I still have never met in my life. At my work, I got Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off. I drove all the way down to Phoenix in one day. I didn't know about WrestleMania Access. I could have gone to it Saturday night. I could have gone to it Sunday morning. Instead, I showed up at the Phoenix University Dome, whatever they call it. I think it's Phoenix University of Phoenix Stadium. Maybe it was wherever the Cardinals play, wherever the house of WrestleMania 26 was. I showed up there like at 9, maybe 10 in the morning. I woke up in the morning. I took a shower. I was so pumped to go to WrestleMania. That's one of my favorite videos to watch of all time, is WrestleMania, morning. I think I did a predictions video, but I talked about being so jazzed and pumped up to go. I even think I told everybody in my video I was about to go take a shower in it for some reason. But basically, I showered, I checked out of the hotel, I drove to the stadium. I was like maybe the 10th car to get into there, and I just sat outside. And to tell you the truth, I wasn't the first person to be there. There was already a line of people. Some guys that had taken a bus from San Diego is who I was talking to, and they'd already made a pact together because they had been on the same bus, and they found out they were going to Phoenix for the same reason. So they were hanging out. I was hanging out, and we just talked. And we were out there for a long damn time. I got really dehydrated. The only thing I had to drink was 2 rock stars that day. Out in the heat, being in Phoenix, out there, basically the desert. It was crazy. So everybody makes, mistakes. If you go back and watch the WrestleMania 30 videos, you'll see my buddy Justin. He was sleeping in beds that weren't even his, in rooms that weren't even his. That was basically him. He didn't know what it was going to be like for that weekend. But I just don't know how this is going to compare. Honestly, when you look at WrestleMania, it looks like Brock Lesnar is going to be the champion, and there's maybe one more time. Survivor Series is your last chance. If Brock makes it through Survivor Series and he makes it through John Cena, he's going to make it to WrestleMania. From there, we have to see how Roman Reigns is going to recover. We have to see if Vince is going to pull the trigger on bringing The Rock back. There's always that rumor, is Stone Cold Steve Austin going to wrestle? He's been invited now by Paul Heyman. He's been invited by John Cena on his own podcast. There's people out there who really want to see Austin wrestle. I don't think it's ever going to happen. He's been gone for 12 years now. But something to me really has to jump up and save this WrestleMania. I know a lot of people that went to WrestleMania 30 and who had been on this ride with us, going to these, as far back to 26, maybe 27, that aren't making the trip this year just because they said that that was it. I mean, there was no way to top that. There was have to be something really big in order to make you come back and do it. And I understand that because, I mean, right now the Divas division is up in roar. I don't know anybody who'd go to WrestleMania because of the Divas division, but that's just where I started. There's nothing going on in the tag team division. It seems like all of the main event is hurt right now. You've got John Cena, you've got Randy Orton, you've got a whole bunch of guys that sort of fill out, the higher mid card that haven't really jumped up. Having a big WrestleMania moment could make them a big main eventer. But when it comes to history, I don't see anything like the Undertaker streak ending this year. I don't see anything like Daniel Bryan winning the championship and completing the whole drive of the Yes movement to get you there. But come to WrestleMania. I honestly can tell you it'll be one of the funnest things you've ever done. I remember walking into WrestleMania 26 for the first time, and that was an awesome set. You go back and had that sort of like Aztec sort of feel. The set was made out like a big old pyramid, and it just was awe-inspiring. I had it at 27 almost. It wasn't the same. Seeing the big block lettering up there that said WrestleMania, their set wasn't that great for 27, but seeing the letters was really cool. Trying to take a picture where you got all the letters in there. was pretty cool. 28 was just awesome. We were so close. We were in that bowl, 8th row. I remember, just getting pumped for the show and just turning around and looking. And the way that I think this Joe Robbie Stadium, where the Dolphins play, was the host, the Orange Bowl, where the University of Miami plays. I'm not sure what it was. But it just seemed like the person that was in the last row was almost sitting like right on top of me. It's crazy. I mean, it just was, I don't know. It just seemed like everybody was just moments from just pushing up into the front row and being there. We've heard rumors already about matches that could go down. Of course, everybody wants to see Sting wrestle for the first time. There's always that rumor of Undertaker coming back for one more match. Everybody went crazy yesterday, and it sort of died out. But it seemed like Bray Wyatt was calling out Sting on Twitter, and then it comes down to Monday Night Raw, and Bray Wyatt is basically breaking his group up. It seems like he's sending Luke Harper out on his own, telling him that he's been set free. He's no longer going to be under that trance. He's no longer going to be that sort of tag team backup guy that really doesn't have anything to do, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, like, I don't want to be like, boo, WrestleMania, don't come. I can honestly tell you that it's always going to be one of the funnest things that's ever happened to you, is going into that building for the first time. I don't think there's a whole bunch of real big news going out of there in wrestling. So we're going to have to cut it a little bit short. Hopefully next week we can really dive into TNA and check out Bound for Glory. That's the show that's coming up around the corner. They don't have a whole bunch going on. They sort of completed their card. The fact that I don't know the matches that they added sort of tell you that they aren't that big. But we'll have to see. Bound for Glory is going to be Bound for Glory. You know that there's going to be people out there that you see hating on TNA all the time, just spitting out TNA hate. They're going to be watching the show. If you hate TNA so bad, why are you watching it? I know that you're basically more than likely streaming the show for free, and you probably have nothing else to do. But go watch football. Go watch The Simpsons. Go watch The Family Guy. Go watch anything else. If you're going to be hating on the wrestling that bad, you don't need to be watching it. So, but that's Stevie Breach. This is me. Thank you, everybody, for checking out the STS Radio this week. And we'll keep it going. If there's anything you want to see, comment down below, and we can plan something out. Thank you very much.